Hey there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today we're talking love and marriage, Huntsville. You guys know why you are here. Today I wanted to talk about a couple of things that Chris Fletcher said in his interview last night with DUSTIN. And I'm just tired, you guys, of the agenda. But the one thing I will respect with Chris is it seems as though he understands whenever something's a setup or something is like a baited question to try to get him to fall for a trap. And he seems to be cognizant of that and to recognize the tomfoolery and redirect, right? And not get caught up in the drama, except for the time when the cousin comedian was unnecessarily throwing shade at Mel. But nonetheless, in this interview last night, there were a couple of things. There were questions that were asked, like, you know, how much money are we talking about that the Fletchers are giving to their kids? Well, technically loaning, but how I understand it is really not a loan if the kids don't intend on paying their parents back. But nonetheless, or vice versa, you know, DUSTIN, I think, was under the impression that this was like $20 or like $100 here and there or something. And Chris Fletcher said, nah, it's like $7,600. It's like $5,600. It's like $2,000. It's like $1,500. Sometimes it's attorney fee. Sometimes it's X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, no. Are you kidding me? Really, to me, maybe because I'm from a small town, like anything more than like $10 to me is expensive. So you're shelling out thousands of dollars to your kids and they're not giving anything back. So for me, I have an issue with this because this would never fly with my parents. There's no way I could be like, hey, mom and dad, I'm in a bind. I need $5,000. They're gonna be looking at me crazy. they're gonna be like, what? No, they're not going to do it, right? Unless it's like an emergency situation or you know, something is dire or something unfortunate happened where like I'm like unemployed and I have like no way to pay my bills or something like that. But even with that, I would still exhaust all options first before contacting my parents, right? But nonetheless, that's not the case with the Fletchers. Apparently, the Fletchers had no issues shelling out these thousands of dollars to the kids until Nell wanted to do something for herself or wanted to utilize the money for other things that she wants to do for her and Chris. And so my thing is this, you know, kind of how I was brought up basically was, you know, basically when you become an adult, like whether you go to college, you go to the military or whatever, you get into a career, you get into a field where you can provide for yourself, where you can take care of yourself, you can own a home, you can pay your own bills, you don't have to rely on anybody for anything. And the, you know, impression basically was like, listen, we're here, but we expect you to be responsible. We expect you to work and be able to provide for yourself, right? And so nonetheless, that has been my mentality. I don't ask my parents for money, right? I don't, like, at all. I don't remember the last time I've even asked them for help for anything because I've just always been under the mindset and the mentality, you got to figure out a way. You got to figure out a way if something goes down. And that's how I've always functioned. Because I'm not just going to assume that, you know, it's going to always be, you know, my parents are always going to be available to, you know, do something like that for me. So it's just weird that I mean, it's like, man, do I need to call Chris Fletcher to ask for some stacks? Because it seems that they freely give it out to the kids. Like I'm like, man, that must be nice because I wasn't brought up that way. Now, there's elements, obviously, with kids that can be spoiled. You know, your family can get you, like, all the newest stuff or things like that. But to just flat out be giving people thousands of dollars is crazy. That would never fly in my family, you guys. Ever. Are you kidding me? It, like I said, it has to be like an emergency situation where something happened, something catastrophic happened. Like I said, either somebody lost their job and they've been out of work for months, or, you know, there's some unforeseen emergency that took place, an emergency expense or something like that, you know, but it'll be like little things now as like an adult, like, hey, if they just want to like buy you something or whatever, like if they want to like pay for your meal or get you like something that they saw or whatever, that's like one thing. But it sounds like just shelling out thousands of dollars to these kids that are supposed to be adults, that are supposed to be having jobs and careers of their own. It just seems crazy to me. I guess maybe I was just brought up different, right? I was just brought up maybe from a small town to where it's like you've got to work to get yourself, you know, the things you need to get. Like there's no such thing as handouts or just asking people for help, even if they have it. Like you need to make sure you make that money yourself, because there's always going to be a situation where you're never going to know, you know, if you're going to need something. So I was brought up like, hey, you need to save your money. You need to put your money, you know, you need to have at least, you know, multiple bank accounts. You need to have savings accounts. You need to have investment portfolios. You need to have 401k. You need to have all of these avenues of income as resources. So in the event something happens and you need emergency funds, that emergency funds is there, and you're not contacting us and you're not hitting us up, right? That's how I was brought up, right? But apparently, you know, again, and everybody's style is different, but again, you know, I just can't believe financial literacy just isn't being, you know, emphasized, right? And even, you know, there's people I know that unfortunately live above their means or don't, you know, or spend their whole check on the newest and greatest and don't understand. But my thing is this: if your kids are out here just buying whatever they want and then begging you for thousands of dollars to pay for an attorney, well, it's like, well, where did the money go? And where's the receipts that these all these attorney fees are adding up? And my thing is, who keeps needing attorney fees amongst your kids, and for why? Is there somebody who's like continuously getting arrested? Like, I'm just confused, right? Like, as to why these things keep happening, because we know the one got in trouble for stealing. So it's like, I just don't get it. You would think that these would be life lessons for these kids, that, hey, maybe I need to get myself together. Maybe I need to move different. Maybe I need to be acting different. But it seems that it is basically enabling the opposite. But my issue is, number one, Chris and Nell not teaching financial literacy to their kids. And number two, you guys have enabled and spoiled and coddled them for so long to just abruptly say, hey, only emergencies, only hit us up. It's not it. And then you have the kids trolling on Facebook, on social media, and reposting it everywhere, saying, hey, we're out spending our parents' money like it's cute. And Chris Fletcher is laughing in the comments. And I think, you know, Nell is the one that's trying to be, you know, more hardcore and more like the bad cop parent, like, hey, you guys need to stop it. But this is after years you've allowed this behavior to go on. And Chris isn't going to care. Obviously, the kids see Chris as somebody that they can easily, you know, get whatever they want, right? Because there's usually that parent that you go to, right? When there's the one that's stern, that's like, absolutely not, you're out of your mind. And then you go to the other parent and they're like, oh, you know, I feel so bad. Here's some money. like it happens every single time, right? But this is insanity. And I can just only imagine, you're talking 5 kids, I can only imagine the thousands of dollars, you guys, that have been shelled out. And again, certain kids haven't learned their lesson and have continued to just ask. But like I said, there's going to be a time where either the Fletchers are not going to have it, or they're not going to be here for you to just hit them up like an ATM machine. And you're going to have to find a way to pay these bills, or utilize the money for whatever it's neat, like if it's an emergency or whatever. But they're not going to be here forever. You're not going to be here forever. We're not going to be here forever. So what is going to be the plan in the event something catastrophic happens and the Fletchers don't have it, or something happens to where you won't be able to access the Fletchers anymore to try to ask for these thousands of dollars? And that's the part people don't think about. People never think big picture. They always live in the now, and think, well, presently my family has money, so as long as my family has money and now they're on a reality TV show, I can just keep hitting them up for stuff. But it doesn't work like that, because not everything always lasts forever. You could be rich today and broke tomorrow. It doesn't matter. Nothing is guaranteed in this world. Nothing's guaranteed in this life. So I'm just a little confused, because there is no way this type of stuff would fly in my family. Now, definitely, we always have people, obviously, there's always a relative or always a colleague or whoever that is always going to go out of their way and literally go broke trying to help their kids, even as complete adults with jobs and lives, right? They're going to, continue to go to bat, but at some point, there has to be a plan. There has to be a plan, because if you're putting yourself into debt trying to help your kids, where does that leave you? So there's that on one end, right? And then the other piece that I wanted to talk about is, again, in these interviews, because we haven't obviously, I don't think we've seen Mel or Tell do any of these interviews with Dustin after these Saturday episodes, but it went from, these inquiring questions about Mel, inquiring questions, about obviously the arrest of Martell, and again, circling back to Mel, and then the focus now in recent interviews has been all about the MELOMETERS and inserting the MELOMETERS, inserting the Mel supporters, and all of these things, and trying to get a reaction and trying to get these cast members to blame the MELOMETERS and the Mel supporters for all of their misfortunes and for all of their issues. And I am glad Chris saw through the BS and didn't take the bait, you guys. And basically said this, he said he understands, in summary, he essentially said he understands, the fans have a job, the fans are going to have an opinion, not everybody's going to like you, he understands what reality TV is about, he gets it. I think he's more concerned about what's going on with his oldest daughter. I think that's really his point of contention, is he doesn't care about, and it really kind of seems that way, he doesn't really care about the shade or whatever that's being thrown to him and all of that, but he cares about once Lexi exposed their, family dynamics and family drama, that's when he really was like, okay, we need to get to the bottom of this, or we need to neutralize this, because we're still filming a reality show and we need to present a certain narrative, because this narrative that's being out there on the blogs isn't it for our quote-unquote family unit that we're trying to push. So I feel like Chris doesn't care about the shade, he doesn't care about the drags, he doesn't care about anybody coming for him, but did care about this whole Lexi thing. It seems that he wants to at least control the narrative as it pertains to that. But as far as everything else of just trying to bait him into bashing any type of fan or any type of blogger, like, that wasn't going to fly in this interview with Dustin. And again, you guys, like I keep saying, these people, if you don't want to be critiqued at all, if you don't want to be talked about at all, don't sign up for reality TV. But my issue with these people is that you want everybody to just praise you no matter what. You want people to just be completely one-sided and say nothing but positive things about you 24/7, even if there's something that you were in the wrong about. And people need to hear sometimes the truth. Sometimes people need to hear, hey, this wasn't cool. Hey, you were doing too much. Like I'm saying in this video, hey, the Fletchers, you're spoiling your kids. You've created an environment where your kids feel that they can come to you like an ATM machine. So therefore, they don't care about financial literacy. They don't care about an event that you guys may never have the money or may not have access to you to ask for these thousands of dollars, right? But that's a legitimate critique, right? And I can relate in the sense that I didn't grow up that way. I didn't grow up being like, hey, let's use mom and dad as an ATM. No. That wasn't my upbringing, right? It was like, hey, once you become an adult, you're either going to go to college, go to the military, do something, and you're going to get into a career, and you're going to make your own money for yourself. You're going to have your own home. You're going to pay your own bills. You're not going to be relying for anybody for nothing. And you're going to find a way, whatever binds you get into. And unless it's an absolute emergency and something catastrophic happens to you, then we'll try to help. But other than that, we expect you to figure out a way. And that's how my mentality has always been, right? So seeing all of this unfold is just wild to me. But maybe I come from a different, stock, right? Because this is wild to me, just the thousands of dollars that these kids can just get, right? and there's no consequences, and these people can get arrested. These people can, you know, continue to make repeated mistakes and still be like, hey mom, I need $5,000. Hey mom, I need 10K. And all these things, and they're like, here you go. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, no. I need this 10 grand for this cruise I want to do. I need this 5 grand for this bag I want to buy. I need this, you know, for this, right? And it's just wild. But yeah, like, I'm just over the hypocrisy, I think, overall, as it pertains to how, you know, how these interviews are going. And again, like I said, this emphasis on the fans is so stupid to me because it's lazy. It's very lazy. Here's the thing, you know, there was a time, obviously, that you still went through things before this existence of the show. And there was no such thing as fans or social media that you could put out there to be the blame. The blame was on you. The only difference between then and now is that your issues are magnified and highlighted on a global scale, on a worldwide scale, for the people who are familiar with the show and familiar with all the social media antics. And the problem is, some of you don't want to hear the truth. Some of you do not want to be exposed, especially if you are presenting a false narrative on the show. So therefore, your, you know, defense mechanism is to attack the people who are exposing you instead of trying to get your actual life right. Like it's the easiest thing to do. If you don't want people dragging you, if you don't want people coming for you, if you don't want people exposing you, then the easiest thing to do is just live right. It is just to do the right thing. Instead, you want to feed into the frenzy and thinking being combative back and forth with people or baiting people into something or threatening lawsuits or whatever is the answer. And it's not, because that just leads to more problems. That just leads to more negativity. That just leads to more negative attention and negative press. But if you put the hammer down, if you realize, listen, I need to show either my real life or I need to get my life together, people will leave you alone. But it seems as though people, like I said, people are so narrow-minded and so tunnel vision that their, you know, response to everything is, oh, let's just try to attack the person who's coming for us. Let's try to dig up things on the person who's coming for us, versus accepting, you know, hey, whether you agree or disagree with their opinion, take to what they said into account. Take into their perspective from a viewer, from a fan who is not related to them, who doesn't know them personally, who is on the outside looking in. Look at it from their perspective and look at it from the perspective of experiences that they had in their own life, or some experiences of people that they know, and why they feel the way that they feel. But to just come in and just bash people or name call people or try to diminish people, that's where the issues arise. That's where you lead to these back and forths and all this chaos. But nonetheless, it sounds like Chris's priority needs to be rectifying his situation with Lexi. That's what it sounds like when it's all said and done. And that sounds like a very, you know, weird situation, just with all of the things that have been exposed up until this point. So nonetheless, I hope at some point, you know, things in the future can resolve between them, but it's just unfortunate. And then it's like you're on reality TV, so all of that issues is going to be at the forefront. It's going to be enhanced. And the final thing that Chris said was that he had told production specifically that he wanted to film a scene with Martell to basically tell him to his face to stop calling Nell a side chick. So I found that to be interesting, because I think some people were under the impression that all these scenes that we see are always engineered by production, that it's always production that's, you know, engineering some of these scenes. But I like that Chris said, listen, I need to stop this nonsense. I need to stop this tomfoolery and, you know, have a face-to-face with Martell. So I respect that. But what I don't respect is that him and Nell are still saying that they're neutral on Martell and Melody because they still view them as siblings. And it's like, but my problem is you're basically saying, hey, you're not going to get in the middle of their drama, but they also were the ones that looked to both of you for advice when they were having issues in their marriage. And you're aware of all of the things that Mel is upset about, that Martell is doing behind the scenes, that is is negatively impacting her and negatively impacting the children. And for you to just say you're neutral as opposed to just saying, listen, even though we've known Martell and Mel for years and consider them friends, Martell is wrong in this situation. And that's the issue that I have. This quote-unquote neutral nonsense. But if somebody's flat out wrong, if somebody is flat out in the wrong for something, there needs to be accountability. And that's why Martell continues to get away with the things he gets away with. And it's like, does Martell have your tea too? About, you know, when there was a time when you were not the perfect husband? Because nothing else makes sense as to how people can just be like, oh, we're neutral on Martell and Mel. And not go one way or the other. But literally, you have somebody who's now convicted of DV harassment in the 3rd degree. So obviously, this isn't a kumbaya type of situation where we're all just going to pretend nothing's happening. No. So there is that. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.